What's your preferred channel for salespeople to contact you on?
I do prefer LinkedIn, but
email.
I would probably say email, even though I hate email.
100% email.
An email is probably my preferred route.
I'm fine with them reaching out wherever because I know that's their job. And it's up to me to come back and say no.
Oh, LinkedIn.
And what's your least favorite?
Phone calls are my least favorite.
I don't like taking cold calls.
Certainly hate phone.
I just won't take any calls.
Call out of the blue.
If you're going to force me to pick one, a phone call.
Emails. Tell me a bit more about that.
It's easier to organize an email, right? Like I have the ability to put things in folders to address later if I want, or, I feel like it's easier to manage once it gets in there and you can quickly delete it if it's something you're not interested in.
But the reason I like email for sales is that I can ignore everything that's irrelevant to me. And if someone does manage to do a good email to get my attention, I can share it quite easily, forward on to 5 other people and be like, hey, this actually looks pretty good.
I go through every email because it's the softest touch, but also allows me to get the most context in a way that I like to receive it and have a filtering mechanism for it. Now, I will say this, I do penalize people, like I was telling you about, who are like, ding, ding, ding. I'm like, that's spam, and I'll mark it. I am ruthless at salespeople who do not abide by what I consider the rules, which is, just don't be obnoxious. But if you're just like hitting me up and you have like a valid product, I've said this before, I'll archive the message in Gmail. And then when I'm actually interested in that product, because odds are I know about your product, I usually research it. If I don't, and it sounds interesting, I'll go and search in my email, like who was the person that hit me up. I'm going to go back to that person.
I don't like emails. I actually don't read any. I don't read many emails. My team will attest that. I think I have like 11,000 unopened emails right now in my inbox.
A really good pitch via email with, which is to the point, punchy, but shows that they've taken the time to understand what it is I do, is the best way to contact me.
I'm fine with emails coming in. The nice part is I have a virtual assistant that screens out a lot of that email kind of chaff.
What about LinkedIn?
If you reach out via LinkedIn, you've done some research, you know a little bit of who I am, a little bit about the problem depending on the category I work in. So if you reach out on LinkedIn and do that, I typically will accept and carry on the conversation.
LinkedIn, which I actually think is a really good channel, and you could do a lot of good stuff on LinkedIn, but I think most salespeople do it completely wrong, which is connect, sales pitch. Like straight away, they're going to get blocked or just disconnected with, unfollowed, not interested. Or you just get spammed with article after article where that person almost thinks that they're educating you, and it actually comes across as rather condescending and just spammy.
I hate LinkedIn. I hate the DM thing. It drives me absolutely mad. I mean, I love LinkedIn. I hate the DM thing because it, like, let's be real about it. Like, LinkedIn's DM organization is actually absolutely horrific. I miss stuff in there. I don't see it for weeks at a time. This is like including the people I want to respond to who are friends of mine. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't see that.
I do recognise that I'm very active on LinkedIn, so a lot of people will find me there, and that might be a preferred channel for a lot of people. There's something about that just feels a little bit personally intrusive at times, if I'm honest, because that's where I build my personal connections, whereas the business I work for is my work email address.
For me, I can't stand the LinkedIn pitches. I literally had this happen to me today. I had a genuine connection of mine had sent me a note. It took me like 7 days to respond because it was buried beneath so much LinkedIn DM spam. But I feel like if I could protect my LinkedIn, that would be huge.
My LinkedIn inbox, the only problem I have with it, if I don't see that message right away, it's gone. If there's no follow-up, I'm never going to see it because I'm not going to go back and be like, oh, what are my unread messages? If you have someone that has, 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, they might only have 500 followers on Instagram. Well, if you reach out to them on Instagram, they're probably going to actually respond to you versus their LinkedIn inbox, which is just inundated with everything and anything that's going on in there. And their email box is probably the same. So you can find that kind of point of least resistance.
It isn't like a personal network. It is a professional network. So when someone reaches out, it's like, okay, this is the appropriate location for this. The people who do it well actually understand who I am. Like, they reviewed my profile. They've actually looked up the businesses that I've worked for. So they have an idea. Like, you get some of them, it's like, you have no idea, like, what I do for a living, like my role. You're just like spamming everybody.
Cold calling seems to be most people's least favorite. Why is that?
I cannot stand when people call me on the phone. I never, ever want to take a cold call, ever. Like, it's interrupting my meeting, or even worse, it's interrupting the precious small amount of non-meeting time I have every day. That's just so interruptive. They almost always start with like, "Hi, Kathleen, how you doing today? Who are you and why are you calling me?" Get to the point, don't waste my time. And so that's part of the problem, is that I don't know if it's the way salespeople are trained, and I'm sure there's some people who love it, but that whole like warm up banter thing just serves to, reinforce to me how annoying it is that I have to sit there and listen to that when I didn't choose, I didn't even really want to take the call in the first place.
I'm in meetings and I'm probably not going to pick up. I'm one of those people that I don't really check the voicemail very well. It's probably the least effective way to get through to me.
I think most of us exennials and younger are not really fans of like random phone calls. They're disruptive, so I don't get to choose when to accept a communication, and they feel a little invasive because I work from home, I'm remote. If I didn't work at home, it might be a little less invasive, but like this is my space, so when I'm at work and doing things and I get a phone call out of nowhere, it's kind of jarring. I've gotten calls at like 6 p.m., 7 p.m. at night, but like, again, if you are calling someone and you have that lead, get an idea of what their time zone is to make sure you're calling within their business hours, because that's pretty frustrating. I did have one, and they had called me, and they obviously knew who I was. They were able to quote my background and stuff. Nothing came of it, but I did appreciate it. I actually stayed on the phone with them for about 15 minutes. They came in, I felt like they took the effort to understand who I was, so if they took the effort to understand who I was willing to give some time back, and that was actually the best experience. So
I would say, like, if anyone calls me out of the blue, they're getting ignored, and that might be the millennial in me, right? Like, it's always awful. I've never had a good cold call experience from a salesperson, whether it's been personal life or business life. No, I've just never had a good experience. And I've seen some of your videos when you're doing the cold calling stuff, and I'm like, oh geez, if only some people did the good stuff, but most of the bad examples are what I'm used to. So I don't even answer my phone when it rings now, to be honest.
Rarely answer a phone call, and if I do, and it's a cold call, I'm like, damn, it's a cold call. I try not to be rude because, again, I empathize with the salesperson. Maybe it's Canadian, I don't know. I have booked a couple of meetings within the last 2 years over phone call, but it rarely happens. It was them being usually really nice, very concise, super direct, and it made me want to be nice back. If it's this random pitch right from the beginning, then it's like, no. But if it's somebody being really nice, really authentic, I'm so sorry I called you. I know it's probably a bad time, but I just need like two minutes of your time. Or 1 minute, this is blah, 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 blah. I'm calling you from Proposify. This is a problem you probably have. Something like that. It's probably the worst example. Kind and intentional together is one of the best pairings.
When it comes to phone conversations, I recognise that the kind of golden egg for a lot of salespeople is to be able to speak to the buyer direct. I do find, again, unless it's been kind of pre-scheduled or we've had some dialogue beforehand, it can feel a bit intrusive. I'm not making it easy for salespeople here, but I would say if someone calls me now, it's an unknown number. My first instinct is it's either a fraud call or, someone trying to extort money, or there's an emergency. You're never in the right frame of mind to be then sold to about your business.